Welcome, everybody, to Dueling Aces for October 14th, 2024. Joining me, as always, Peter.
I
How's it
mean,
going, Mr. Texas? How
it's
are
not
you?
as always, but like most of the time.
Most of the time. But at
I
this
mean,
point, it's almost as always.
yeah.
You are definitely got to be feeling pretty happy about your Texas Longhorns.
No.
No?
So I I said it in the chat Saturday. If that continues, I'd sit yours and I'd have played Manning in the second half. Thankfully, somebody grabbed a hold of Ewer's face mask and snapped him out of it. But you can't play like that against Georgia. You can't. Now, Georgia's coming to Austin. They're going to bring that stupid wrinkly dog and try to stick it next to a 1,500-pound steer again. And we all know what happened the last time that happened. But the thing with the Oklahoma-Texas game on Saturday was I wasn't worried about Georgia this coming weekend. I was worried about Oklahoma because I've seen that game do things to those teams that there's one year Texas was ranked number 2. I think it was last year. Texas was ranked number 2. Oklahoma wasn't ranked. They beat the hell out of them. And then the year before that, it flip-flopped. Texas wasn't ranked, and Oklahoma was like number 5. And Oklahoma lost 49-0. That game gets squirrely quickly, especially for the losing team. So I'm glad it went our way and we're out of that situation. But you've got to have more. You've got to have better play from yours if you want to beat Georgia and then progress further into the season undefeated. But I think we should talk about that barn burner of a game out west. The one that everybody's talking about.
Oh, yeah. Knock your socks off. I heard you found a whole bunch of wannabe. The Buckeye wannabe coaches and coordinators, and
who knew that Colorado and Kansas State would be such a barn burner of a game late on Saturday night? We're talking about that other one, the one that took place in Eugene. Yeah, or in over there in Autzen Stadium. Good God.
It was
the amount of people. Look, I realize social media is a cesspool of idiots on most occasions, but good Lord, after that game Saturday night, I couldn't wait to go to Facebook and Reddit and just watch people lose their minds over that game. You even lost your mind a little bit in the chat.
Well, I think I'm just more disappointed about the fact that they got that touchdown in the third quarter. You know that the points are off balance and they're going to keep turning around and keep tagging a touchdown. It's going to be by 1. You're not going to be able to turn around and get downfield. You want to have it tied. You don't want to sit there and be down by that 1. And you needed to go for 2, and the book says you go for 2.
I'm not disagreeing with you that they should have gone for 2 at some point, but I don't think that is that's not the boneheaded move of the game. The boneheaded move of the game is the slide on 3rd and 21 with 2 seconds left.
Well, yeah, and believe you me, I totally get it, but I mean, if you were already the bigger problem is you were already in field goal range and you're wanting to throw the football. Why?
Correct.
You turn around, you run the ball a couple times right where you want the ball at for your hash marks or where you want it on the field. You kick the thing and say, "Have a nice day," and go back home. But no, this is why Chip Kelly can't hold a coaching job anywhere. Stupid decisions.
I mean, not only is you're talking about it's 3rd and 21. Poor clock management goes into that because Ohio State, I believe, still had a timeout left.
I don't know. I was actually in between cars at the time, so I was in a vehicle that had the Sirius streaming, and
Yeah.
it was like literally that last 4 minutes. I didn't even get to see or hear about it until I got back to the house.
So I don't remember if they had a timeout or not, but you have poor clock management, and you have a number of situations throughout the game where you could have scored or put a field goal on the board and made that more favorable, to you as Ohio State, and they didn't. I mean, it all goes back to the 1-7 or 2-7 record that they are now, 2-8 against
2-6 against ranked teams. Yeah.
against ranked opponents. I mean, if you cannot put a team together that can beat a ranked opponent, no matter where they are in the top 25, then why do you belong in the top 12 or the top 4? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're
you still got to play Penn State yet.
You and Michigan.
Well, we'll see where
that game's dangerous for an entirely different reason because Michigan's not playing for anything but pride at that point.
Yeah. We always say you throw out the records on that.
Sure, but Michigan has nothing to lose.
No. So you can expect dirty play. You can expect a little hand stomping. You can expect a bunch of crap.
Maybe
those games.
Maybe, so. but if you look at, at Michigan, the Michigan Ohio State game, let's say you sneak past Penn State, or maybe you don't. Maybe Ohio State loses to Penn State, but they're still hanging on in the top 12.
Well, they also still have to play Illinois too.
Well, hold on.
Illinois is sitting in there too.
So let's say you don't sneak past Penn State, but you beat Illinois. You keep the Illabuck trophy, and now you're heading into the final week of the season down there in Columbus against Michigan. Don't you think Michigan would love nothing more than to hand Ohio State their third loss on the season and keep them out of the playoff?
Sure.
Yeah. So now that 3rd and 21 with the slide looks a lot more foolish, doesn't it? Like,
yeah, you're not going to get any argument out of this.
I'm not looking to get an argument or debate out of you. I'm talking to the 5 or 6 people that might be listening who think that Ohio State and Ryan Day can do no wrong.
Oh, we know we got a few of those.
Yep.
We know we got a few of those.
But you look at that, if you look up and down that top 25 right now, if you're Ohio State, do you really want to play Army? Especially with that triple option offense at 6-0? Army's got one tough game left this year. That's it. One. They played Notre Dame, and I think they can beat Notre Dame.
Well, and if Navy keeps going what they're doing too, That Army Navy game at the end of the season could be really,
which is an exhibition game. Army and Navy could play each other twice in 2 weeks. Because
that,
one would be for the conference championship, and then the Army Navy game is an exhibition game. It technically doesn't go on the record.
It would be interesting though.
I mean, you got Texas, Oregon, Penn State, and I'm looking at the coaches poll. That coaches poll is exactly how my top 5 the other night at the end of the night.
Yeah.
See, coaches and I think alike. But you look at that top 25. There's not a team on there that I want to. If I'm anybody, there's not a team on there that I don't think couldn't beat somebody on in there. Kansas State could beat Texas. BYU could beat Texas or Oregon. I mean, BYU almost beat Oregon. Boise State almost beat Oregon.
Well, and here's the funny thing is, now that we've got the Power Four, a lot more teams are all in the same conference now as well, which really shakes this list up consistently. I mean, we said outright that there would be 2 lost teams in the top 12 playing in this playoff.
I think your national champion is going to be a 1 or a 2 loss team.
Yeah, we said, I think last week, that it would be very difficult to turn around and run the table.
I would almost rather lose now, because you can't lose in the playoffs. You have to go undefeated. That's going to be extremely difficult.
I mean, Oregon does have a little bit lighter of a schedule, but then again, yeah, you got to play everybody. Like it's your Super Bowl.
I mean, right now, if you're because the top 2 teams get a bye in the first round, isn't that the way the new playoff works?
Yep.
So three would play 12, 4 would play 11, so on and so forth, correct?
Yep.
That's how the new playoff works. So let's say that Penn State and Notre Dame play each other, and Penn State beats Notre Dame. And Tennessee wins. Well, Oregon ends up playing Tennessee. If you're Oregon, do you really want to see Tennessee?
No.
Listen, the other reason why I don't think Bama moved, by the way,
I thought it was really weird that none of them moved.
Well, Bama didn't move because of what happened against South Carolina on Saturday. I mean, you barely beat South Carolina. You almost lost 2 in a row. So that's why I don't think Bama moved.
And Miami just barely squeaked by too.
Correct. And Georgia was idle, I think.
Right. Yep.
So that's why Georgia didn't move.
Well, let's push the fast forward out a week. And Texas beats Georgia. How far does Georgia drop, do you think, at this point? Would you drop them out of the top 8?
I think they're between 9 and 12.
You think they would fall that far?
Yes. Because at that point you've lost to Texas and you no longer have an opportunity to play for an SEC title. So your best bet to make it into the playoff game or the college football playoff is being a wild card team.
Interesting. Very interesting.
And And if Texas remains undefeated, because I believe they're in the West, they would have the tiebreakers over. They would have the tiebreaker over Alabama because you beat Georgia,
Right.
and you beat Vandy. You have common opponent tiebreakers, so you know what I mean. You could
Yeah.
trip up against Texas A&M and still, or whomever, and still get in.
Sure. Now, my next question, does this make right now as the way it's standing, is this making it more fun for a traditional college fan, or is it really just starting to tick people off?
I I don't see how it's not fun. I don't see how looking at the top 25 in week 2 or in week 7 or the end of week 8 and seeing a number of one loss and two loss teams, a handful of undefeated teams, and teams like SMU in the top 25, Army and Navy in the top 25, teams like Texas and Oregon up top when for the last 4 years it's been dominated by Ohio State, Georgia, and Alabama. That's Texas A&M is at 14. How is this not fun? I mean, look, Iowa State's in the top 10. When was the last time Iowa State was in the top 10?
I have I don't know. What were they when they played Michigan for, because they played Michigan what, 2 years ago? Wasn't that 2 years ago? 2 years back? Because I know that Sean and Adam both went out to Indy to watch that game.
That's Iowa, not Iowa State.
Oh, I'm sorry, Iowa.
You- So what I mean, when was the last time Iowa State? Look, in Iowa, the Hawkeyes put up 40 on Saturday, nearly doubling their season total of offensive points from a year ago. That was a solid joke, and Zolt would have appreciated it.
Right. But he's not here to enjoy it.
But yeah, I don't. If you're a college football fan, like I don't know how you're not enjoying it. Like how it's not fun.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of cool to just see all of these sports writers, all jockeying, basically trying to have them jockey for positions, and it's like, well, all right, guess what, guys? Now you really have to do your homework because it's literally almost going to change every single week.
Right.
They're earning their paychecks at this point.
I don't disagree.
Well, it's about time. I was gonna say, I'd rather say it's about damn time.
Some of the writers are really good. I enjoy watching because I wake up early on Saturdays, because we're at the gym I'm at the gym at 8 o'clock, or the wife and I are at the gym at 8 o'clock. So from I'm usually catching the very early bird edition of Sports Center on Saturday morning when they toss out to wherever game day is.
Right.
And they usually they're pretty good. Or I will watch the college game day final on Sunday mornings because they usually do that around 7 a.m.
What's your biggest surprise out of this week's rankings?
That Ohio State didn't go lower than 4th, to be honest with you. I know I had them at 5, but I think with the way that they played, the way that they ended that game, the 2-6 versus ranked opponents, I really thought that some of the voters would have put them down around the 8 to 10 level, 8 to 10 mark.
Yeah, see, I thought they would have fell to about 7. I think they would have been down by Bama and everybody would have bumped up.
I think one of my other big surprises is that Oregon didn't jump Texas somehow.
I think they were waiting for Texas for this week. I think they were waiting to see what the results out of Texas and Georgia is going to be.
Look, there's a lot of people that vote that have a hard on for Oregon, and I don't know why. Maybe
Well, I don't know. There's only 6 of them there versus 56. I mean, it is a big difference.
I'm with you, but like
even out of the coaches, only 2 of them.
So 2 of them voted for, and I bet you that was Ryan Day and
yeah, I was going to say Oregon's coach and
Ohio State's coach.
It's going to be the 2. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it at all.
With Texas, I think they've proven that they are the number 1 team in the country right now. Which I think that this year, that's what I like about the rankings, is they've gotten back to right now. Who are the best 25 teams in the country right now? And there hasn't been a whole lot of legacy voting that you saw in the past. You know, Georgia'd go out and have a crap game against Kentucky, yet they'd still remain number 1. And you're like, why? You know, why are they still number 1? They didn't look like the number 1 team in the country. So that's impressive. I felt bad for Ole Miss though on Saturday night watching that game.
Yeah. Ouch.
Oh. I don't know how I don't know what voodoo priestess Ryan Kelly goes and sacrifices a goat to before night games in Death Valley, but for some reason he is undefeated in night games down there at LSU. So, you know.
Yeah.
He sacrifices a goat, sells off one of his children, something.
Wow.
Hey, voodoo people are weird, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
He brings 3 alligator teeth, a magnolia blossom, and then some crawfish, and just hands them to a voodoo priestess as an offering, and then somehow he wins.
Kind of like that scene out of with Captain Jack Sparrow who going to the priestess.
Yes, something. It's a job, do it.
It's like, yeah, buddy.
I tell you what, though, I really am happy to see SMU in the top 25.
Yeah, they're gaining a little bit of traction too, which isn't too shabby to see.
No, but if you ever watch that 30 for 30 on what happened to SMU and the death penalty that they got, and the way that the NCAA, for lack of a better term, raped that school and destroyed it for the better part of 2 decades or 3 decades. The fact that they are now in the top 25, they're 5-1, and they're rebuilding that again and getting better and better. I'm really happy to see that.
Just tracing back to LSU, you know they can't get too comfy because they've got a really tough rest of their schedule coming up. Uh, Texas A&M in a couple weeks, then they got Bama right behind that, and then 2 weeks after that they've got Vanderbilt and Oklahoma to finish out.
I don't think they'll have an issue with Oklahoma. I mean, look, Oklahoma's not even in the top 25 this week.
No, but I mean, like I said, you still got to play the games. And being that they've also got to turn around and play Bama on top of it and Texas A&M. I don't know. I don't. It's like, eh.
You know, it's funny. They announced last year that Texas and Oklahoma were going to the SEC, right?
Mhm.
And everybody said, "Oh, get ready for big boy football. Get ready for big boy football. Texas is going to be lucky to win 3 games in the SEC. They're gonna,
Yeah, I seen the memes and the little video clip things from the guys on TikTok or whatever. Yeah,
yeah."
it's like, oh, I'm sorry, you guys want to shut the heck up? Have a slice of shut up pie?
You know, yeah, but they everybody bumped their gums, and then we get into the start of the season, and it looked like Texas and Oklahoma were going to be near the top of the SEC all year, and then Oklahoma does what Oklahoma does, and they
Yep.
poop
Oof.
themselves and the bed,
Yep.
and Texas just stayed the course. I
With a
mean,
solid schedule too.
Texas didn't have an easy schedule. Let's not pretend
No.
like they had an easy schedule.
No.
If you if Oklahoma can somehow manage to make their way back into the top 25, and you are Texas and you finish out the year and you beat Georgia and then you beat Texas A&M, you will have beaten 5 ranked opponents this year.
Well, let's see. They got South Carolina, Ole Miss, Maine, Missouri, Bama, and then Bama and LSU back to back at the end of the season.
Who,
Ouch.
Oklahoma?
Yeah. Woo. That's gonna leave a mark.
Oklahoma might be a 4-loss team by the end of it.
It's gonna hurt.
Could they beat Ole Miss? Probably. Could they beat LSU? Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know that they beat Bama, and I don't know that they beat Vandy, to be honest with you.
It's ugly.
I mean,
Yeah.
Texas has got Georgia, and then they've got Kentucky and Vandy. And then I think they play Texas A&M to finish up the year.
Yeah, it's Georgia, Vandy, Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky, and Texas A&M.
That that's still not an easy stretch if you're Texas.
Especially when you're only at home. Well, you're at home for half of it. You're at home against Georgia, Florida, and Kentucky. You're on the road against Vandy, Arkansas, and A&M.
A&M's in College Station. It's still Texas, and there's still plenty of Longhorn fans that go to that game.
Right. The Vanderbilt game, I know you are worried about.
The Vandy game is, listen, if you lose to Vandy, not only do you deserve it, but you deserve to be in the Ryan Day coaching school at that point if you lose to Vandy.
Ooh. Ooh. And we just lost our only viewer.
He's probably an Ohio State fan anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We need Zolt on here. He's the one that brings the viewers in.
We do quite all right ourselves. No, right now, like I said, over the next couple of weeks, it'll be real nice to finally catch up watching some football. I did finally get to catch up a little bit on the NFL stuff yesterday. But, at the way you guys are talking about in the chat on Saturday was like, well, this ranking is going to get all shook up all over again. And it wasn't too bad with the exception of just 3 or 4 teams really moving.
Speaking of NFL, I said it last night, and I meant it. At what point during that game was it like watching was Detroit beating up on Dallas, like beating up on the slow kid on the short bus? That was just brutal to watch.
And for them to lose Hutchinson to that broken tibia,
somebody slowed it down, and you could see his tibia snap.
Oh, I watched it. I watched it and watched the replay. I was watching it when it was happening, and I was like, oh, that is not good. That is very, very bad. That was going to be super bad.
I mean, he's done for the season.
Yeah. And it's very unfortunate. I know you got your 5th meal coming. I am going to set us back over here because I am bringing in the ultimate wonderful disaster of what happened on First Take this morning. And oh yeah. And the interesting ordeal of the Nick Sirianni post-game press conference that I'll play for everybody.
I didn't hear about that.
It's hard to win in this league, so we're excited to get the win. Our fans created a couple false starts that really helped us win this football game. But just excited to get the win and appreciate the link support. I was having fun, and I kind of got some feedback from the guys in the sense of like, we need you back, Nick. We need your energy. We need your focus. We need your, like, I've gotten that from a couple players, and when I'm operating and having fun, I think that
look at his kid going, yeah, Dad, whatever.
Okay. What I'm here for is lying in front of the kids to make everything sound rosy. I'm okay with that. What I'm not here for is the fact that he lied to all of us and brought his kids so that he could do so. Bad look for Sirianni? What do you think?
Terrible look for Sirianni. First of all, in relation to the game, shout out to A.J. Brown, worth every penny. Jalen Hurts, cleanest game of the year. I always knew and felt that the Eagles were, and Nick Sirianni would miss Jason Kelce on the field as a Hall of Fame center. I never put so much weight into realizing how much he would miss Jason Kelce off the field. Jason Kelce is one of the great Philadelphia athletes that totally understood that fan base and expressed it in a way of understanding, like, when we're good, there's no one that's going to have your back and cheer for you more than that fan base. No one. And when we're bad, they're going to let you know it. And there's something beautiful about that. And for Nick Sirianni to act that way after the game when you squeaked by Cleveland, who is in absolute tailspin by 4 points, to go talk to that fan base. You know what fan bases hate? Any fan base, but certainly Philadelphia. Stephen A., you know this better than anybody. When you come across that you're better, when you come across that you're more important than the fans, that city and that fan base, week to week, their everyday happiness is dependent upon how that football team performs, because they truly believe that they're part of the wins and they're part of the losses. And for him to just walk that way and talk that way and come across that I'm more important than you and we don't actually need you, and you can talk to those fans that way, it's a complete unaware feeling, and that you don't actually get it, and you don't understand it, how those people want to be valued.
I want Shannon to go first. Go ahead.
Shannon, go ahead.
Well, I agree with everything you said, Dio, because the one thing is that you don't go back and forth with your fans because they're going to be the ones that ultimately decide your fate, unfortunately. Now, if he was in Cleveland and he did something like this and he's going at the Cleveland Browns fan, although he's the coach and that's not what I'm accustomed to, or that's not what I would expect from a head coach in the National Football League, I could somewhat say I get it. But you're at home and you're going back and forth with your fans? Nah, I can't get down with that, Stephen A. He needs to understand. Bro, me, honestly, I hate to say he's misspeaking the truth, but I don't know if guys came up and say, man, we need you to go back and forth with the crowd because that gets us going. Really? Why would you want to go back and forth with your own crowd? They're the ones that support you. You just said they got a couple of extra false starts for you, and now you're jarring with them? Nah, I can't get down with that with Stephen A.
In general, I don't disagree with y'all. In this particular instance, I do. I do disagree with y'all on this particular instance is because Sirianni has pretty much stunk as a coach over the last season, pretty much his last season. When you think about the last 6 games of the season, you lost about 5 of your last 6 games. You got stomped in the playoffs by Tampa Bay. You come into this season, y'all don't look much better. Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown both go out. You remember you had lost both coordinators last get into the Super Bowl the year before, and everybody's looking at you, and you've been under a microscope. He's been taking a lot of heat. And even though
Go ahead.
I don't think Sirianni said or did anything wrong.
What?
I don't think Sirianni said or did anything wrong. I think that fan bases and the medias that cater to them have made them feel and think that they are more important than they actually are. Yes, sports talk radio in cities like Cleveland, Philadelphia, Boston, Indianapolis, they go all day, right? All day. But at the end of that, we're not the ones that have to sit in those meetings, that have to sit in that locker room with those players, and that have to spend time away from from the families. We don't miss dance recitals, graduations. Just listen to me for a second, because I know you're a coach. I get it.
Go ahead.
But the Philadelphia fan base is quite possibly one of the most unhinged fan bases in the United States in professional sports. I think that's something we can all agree on, right? Like, these are the people that threw batteries at Santa and booed him. And I think it's a bit of a narcissistic relationship where the Cleveland or the Philadelphia sports fan is a bit of a narcissist, and every once in a while you have to remind him you're not the most important person in there. By the way, I love the birthday present that Detroit gave Jura yesterday. It was great.
And hold on, we're going to get to him first. I'm going to finish this up, and we'll finish on Sirianni, and then there is another piece for the Dallas Cowboys following that.
As I mentioned,
Sam says we are perfectly well-behaved individuals.
I mean, we can fix that.
I'm going to let this finish.
I was
First of all,
damn.
if you're going to lie to the public, you don't have to bring your kids up on the podium with you to lie about it. I do agree with you there, Shay. That's a bad look. The flip side to it, however, fellas, is that I'm looking at him, knowing that fan base, being a former columnist for the Philadelphia Inquirer, working in the city of Philadelphia for 17 years. It does get to a point where it's like, wait a minute, now you got to show up. So whatever it takes for you to get that little something extra out of you, you do it. You do whatever it takes because they're already down on you. They already consider you suspect. They already had a whole bunch of question marks, and they're throwing stuff at you. If you think that gets the best out of you, then exhaust whatever means necessary to try to pull it off, because nothing else that you've done over the last year and a half has sufficed. And they're looking at him and they're calling on him because they know their football, they know their franchise, they know what expectations are, they know what level of tradition comes along with it. And he said, and the players are coming at him and go like, we need this, we need this, we need this. Well, if that's what you feel that the players are telling you, and you think that's going to get you sparked up where you're going to elevate your level of play, meaning as a coach, then go ahead and do it, because nothing else is working for you. And you're going to pay the price any damn way. So try anything. And to me, that's what he was doing yesterday. He's exhausted. He's pulling out all the stops to try to gravitate and ingratiate himself with that fan base, because he believes that that's the kind of stuff that they'll like. Yeah, talk some at us, not go on the field and back it up and get it done. He thinks that. I don't think he's right, but he thinks that. And that's my point.
Would you agree he's the most unlikable coach right now in the NFL?
I have to think about it.
I'm not trying to be harsh.
I have to think about it. He might be. He might be right.
I mean, you could go back maybe when Urban Meyer was coaching in Jacksonville, and that was for a whole different reason. Right now, Nick Sirianni is the most unlikable coach in the NFL. This doesn't help.
No, it doesn't. Not in that city with that fan base. Here's what I want to push back on.
Sure.
Real quick, Shannon.
Sure.
He waited till the game was over, though. He waited. That was happening when after the A.J. Brown big throw down the field. The game was over.
It would have been egregious had he done it before the game was over.
But that's not. You're not infusing any energy to your football team when you squeak by a team that's 1-5 and you don't really perform at home again, and then you go do that. That's where I.
Shannon, go ahead. Go ahead. What would you say, Shannon?
Stephen A., if he was an offensive defensive coordinator where he was calling the plays, if he was talking like this, Brian Billick used to talk leading up to the game when we played the Steelers, when we played the Titans, when we played X, Y, and Z. Now that's it. Okay, we expect that. You can't wait till we all of a sudden, as Dan said, we're squeaking by, and all of a sudden you're talking about, what did you say? You got something to say? Man, get out of here with that.
No, again, I'm not trying to say that he was right. What I'm saying is, considering his lack of productivity over the last year or so and the heat that he was taking, him trying anything is definitely conceivable. Now, whether or not it will work remains to be seen, but I'm telling you, the city of Philadelphia, they're going to be like this. Yeah, go ahead, talk that. All right, you going to back it up? You going to back it up? They want him to apply that pressure to himself to back it up. Go ahead and do what you got to do as long as you give us the results that you need. I'm saying to you, they like this guy. They'll put you out of here. They'll put you out of here quicker if you ain't getting it done, and they don't have to front around about it.
I haven't spoken with any Philadelphia fan in the last 16 hours that enjoyed that.
Okay.
And my wife is from there. She got a lot of friends and family from there. No one received that in a positive way.
But it's not about whether or not you received it in a positive way. It's about him saying, okay, now back it up. You can chirp and talk all you want to. What you gonna do? Because now you've given us no reason to give you any kind of pass. Go out there and get it done. And I think him putting himself under that kind of microscope, that might be where he's at his best. We'll find out.
Giant bullseye on his back.
Yes, because he did it on purpose. So now you got that. What you gonna do about it?
Come on, if they had lost that game, can you imagine what was being said if they had lost that game yesterday?
Well, he wouldn't have done that if he lost that game.
Maybe not, or maybe you would have gone even further. I don't know. Time for a quick take now. Shannon, go ahead. You got one more word? Go ahead. You can get it in.
No. I was going to say, Stephen A., well, if that's the case, so why don't you talk before the game? That's what gets your team riled up, not after we don't won. It's easy to talk after the fact. You need to go bring some of that energy. Yeah, we're going to kick your you-know-what. That's what you say during the course of the week. You don't wait till after you up with 2 seconds on the clock and start chirping with the fans.
But he wasn't talking to the opposing team. He was talking to the fans. And he was antagonizing them the way that they...
That's what I'm saying, yes.
I'm saying that might not be the wisest thing. But what if it ends up working for him? Because nothing else has. Nothing else has over the last year.
You know what you signed up for. When you take certain jobs, you know what you signed up for when you have your... He knows what he signed up for.
They booed Santa Claus, for goodness sake.
He knows what he signed up for.
Oh, they're going to get him. They're going to get him if he mess up, which means he knows he can't.
They're coming for him. All right, let's get to a quick thing. We know how divisional games go, right? They're normally...
Okay. So, go ahead, Zolt.
Not a gigantic fan of Stephen A., but, especially early on in that clip, he made a lot of really good points. I'm not subscribing at all to the evil genius take that, hey, this is a way that he's using to pump himself up and whatever. in order to be an evil genius, you have to be a genius to begin with, and I'm not even gonna come close to ascribing that aspect to Sirianni.
No, not at all.
And
But
I think
I thought it was classless that you brought the kids in because you knew you were going to get lambasted.
Yes.
You were going to get lambasted because you beat a 1-4 team by only 4 points, and you couldn't do that. Should have been a 35-point bludgeoning.
And you picked a fight with your fans.
Right.
Pick a fight with the fans.
And then hide behind your kids.
Yeah,
I mean,
hiding behind your kids, it's pathetic.
As far as the whole,
I don't take it as hiding behind the kids, though. I really don't.
No, but that's what he did.
He brought his kids to the media afterwards. When his mandatory head coach media questioning. He's never done it before.
Nope.
This time I'm just going to bring my kids up.
Okay.
And the questions were extremely minimal. Sam even said that was pretty much about it. Is nobody could ask him any deep in-depth questions because the kids were there and they couldn't really go through their normal
realistically. If you're talking like a Philly media, you don't think they're going to immediately start off with, do you really think that this is how you're going to, turn your team around, is by picking a fight with the fans? And them being Philly, I don't expect it to be as polite as I just put it. But instead, he got off with just your basic whatever questions.
Again, I don't think Sirianni did anything wrong because, one, we can sit here and speculate all we want that, he brought the kids in to be his meat shield. We don't know if his wife was there and was like, hey, take the kids. I have to go handle something. You don't know. I don't know. And I'm not going to guess that I don't care. Bring your kids there.
No, that is not even anywhere near the norm when you do a media thing. Not anywhere near it.
Really? Because look at all the NBA.
Hang on. Unless you've won a championship game, the kids are not there.
We're in a different day and age. I don't care. I don't care.
It's not. It's not though. I'm telling you right now, especially for the heat that he's been taking over the past 3 weeks, even in their bye week, with the heat that he's been under.
It's Philly. They're idiots.
No, it's not even Philly's media. It's even the national media.
Forget the media scrum afterwards. Forget that nonsense. Standing there at your sideline at the end of the game, picking a fight with the fans as the head coach of a franchise. And number one, I get, it's Philly. I get that to an extent, but there's two different things going on here. There's the fan base and the team. The fan base, I don't, maybe he had it in his head, this is going to make me appear tough to the fan base and they're going to eventually love me for this. I guarantee you that team didn't. That team is professionals in a locker room going, what the hell are you doing?
At some point, you have to say enough is enough.
Agreed.
And I said it just before you jumped in. The Philly fan base is a bunch of narcissistic assholes. They really are. And I've watched them run coaches and GMs and players out of that town on rails because everybody who wears some sort of Philadelphia emblem on a jersey or a shirt or a hat, that buys a ticket or watches it on their television, can coach or play better than those people on the field.
Okay.
It's the same with Chicago. I have the same attitude towards Chicago and most of the Cleveland fan base because I think that people are stupid and sometimes somebody just has to look at you and tell you to shut the F up. So I have no problem with what Sirianni did. None.
Here's the thing. What you and I are talking about isn't necessarily mutually exclusive. You know what? Your fan could very well be like that. And from what I've seen, that's definitely a possibility. However, As far as Sirianni's actions and how that team has performed under him, especially in the last, say, 16 months, I was on, or I wasn't on, but I texted into
Oh,
Sam's
yay,
show.
Sam.
Yeah, 609 Sports Talk, Mondays, 5:30 p.m.
Good
Sam
quick.
showed up because I
Nice,
insulted
nicely
Philly.
done, sir.
I mentioned, it's like, what I'm seeing from him reminds me an awful lot of when Matt Patricia was coaching the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
The holier than thou, I'm not doing anything wrong. Who are you to question me? And to the extent, like in Detroit, I can tell you right now, it wasn't Darius Slay. Who was the safety?
Yeah.
Anyway, Patricia had a rule that players could not talk to him in the hallway, like literally in passing. Don't talk to me, kind of thing. And literally, he got called out for it, and that player found himself off the team. And he was one of our top defensive players. He was a strong safety. Grover Quinn, that's who it was.
Well,
it's like,
There's a name.
yeah.
I'm not saying
the other thing is, hang on, Bruiser. The other thing is even myself as a coach, you just can't let the crowd, the fans, get egging you on, influencing you, and it's just stupidity. I mean, I have not done it because I know both as a coach and as an official. Rule number one is, especially as an official, you never, ever should be engaging a crowd unless there's a volatile situation. And as a coach, it's, you're going to hear the chatter, you're going to hear the noise all the way behind you or whatever. It's like, dude, all you just did was just give yourself up. You don't need to turn around and sit there. You get paid top of the line money. That should be blocked out behind you. There was no reason whatsoever for him to even think about making that engagement, let alone then trying to bring it up going, oh yeah, the guys thought it was great. No, not necessarily, because I read 3 articles today of where players were like, well, that's just coach being coach. And, it was not a supportive situation. There was not one piece of anybody who was interviewed as far as players went that said, yeah, that was a great idea.
So
no, it wasn't.
You coach, and this is not a slight or a dig or anything like that. You coach junior high and high school age kids. You officiate junior high and high school age kids.
I've also done college.
And some
I
college.
have done college. Yep.
So, but you have not been in that type of situation.
I disagree.
Dude, a city like Philadelphia,
a city like Detroit.
I don't think Detroit is nearly as bad as Philadelphia.
In certain arenas, it can be, especially on the college level.
Crazies. Everywhere has their crazy. Cleveland's got them. Yeah. We all know who they are. We hear them on the radio. Detroit's got them. Pittsburgh's got them. Cincinnati's got them. They've all got them. But collectively, Philadelphia, Boston, Chicago, cities, New York, those 4 cities have more crazy-ass, narcissistic, idiotic fans than any other city in the country. And so when you're serious, and I'm not going to say that Sirianni's holier than thou, or I don't know what he's like in the locker room. I don't. But what he did yesterday, turning around, yelling at the fans, I have absolutely no problem with. I don't. Because sometimes you just have to do it. Saban did it in Alabama. And there's a dude who was an Alabama fan that went to jail for a very long time for poisoning trees. Remember Harvey Updike?
Yeah.
Went and poisoned the Tumors Oaks down in Auburn because Alabama lost to Auburn. Yeah.
9-12.
Sometimes you just got to yell, and I have no issue with that. None.
Well,
Everything else, I'm not debating. I'm not because I don't know.
Sam, of course, also does Birds of the Gridiron for for the Eagles fans. And Sam, the floor is yours, dude. I'll let you have it. Go for it.
Okay. Well, first off, I can't stay on long, but I could not sit back anymore and listen to this. Here's the problem. First of all, Nick Saban. How did Nick Sirianni win something before he starts acting like a jackass? Nick Saban is a freaking coach who's won how many national titles? Sirianni's been the one freaking big game and blew it. That's number one. Number two, we're talking about how Bruiser is right, though, about one thing, how he said about the fan. And it's not about us because we are just fans. Okay, we didn't do this. The coach made us part of this by yapping his gums at us. If you can't deal with fans heckling, congratulations, you're in the wrong freaking job. That's our job as fans. You made this about us. So that's the first problem with that. I don't care about fans heckle. I heckle. We all do it. He made this about us. Because like you said, you're out there boasting holier than thou. Wow, you beat the Cleveland Browns by 4 points. Congratulations. I believe the Commanders put up 41 on them just the week before, and they have way less of the talent that the Eagles do. And also, the press conference, I have watched every game that this jackass, and he is a jackass, has coached. First of all, let me get you to my first point, though. My hatred for Nick Sirianni, strictly before this, today, came from the football field. Because he is a terrible head coach. You can see it every day. He is a terrible head coach. He is a terrible play caller. This team is never prepared to play the first half of their game. They have not scored a point. A point. We can't even get a safety in the first quarter of games. But I have watched every single press conference of his. His kids were there once. And that was after they won the NFC Championship. That was clearly him doing something immature like he's done before and protecting himself from the scrutiny he knew he was going to get. And then he comes out today because, every Monday the coaches meet with the media again. And he's saying, I haven't spoken to Jeffrey Lurie today. Guarantee, yes, you did. Because Jeffrey Lurie said, you better go out and say something. Because I will tell you now, this man will not make it to week 16 of the season, let alone probably 2 weeks from now. That's the problem here. It's not about the fans. But as fans, we're going to sit there, we're going to cheer, we're going to show frustration.
It's hard to win in this league.
The coach made this about us. Congratulations, you got heckled. We do it to everybody. Go ask the Phillies, who haven't hit for 3 straight postseasons. We do it to them. Bryce Harper gets tackled every day. You know what Bryce Harper does? Usually hits the ball in the seats, about 400 feet. It's not about who heckles first. It's how you respond to it. And that is not a way to respond as an NFL head coach.
To me, it came across as Bush League.
It's a man-child running an NFL roster. That's what it is. It's a man-child.
This is after a win. Granted, an unimpressive win. Whatever. It was after a win. I don't know. Football players, in general, are professionals. They just want to win, and I get that. But I don't see how this is going to impress anybody.
And also, not only did whatever, all right, screw the stuff with the opinions of the press conference. Not only was the press conference set up to protect him, then he lied. Then he lied in his press conference. And coming out and saying, I got half the roster telling me that they want to see the old Nick from a couple years ago. Trust me, no dumbass in that locker room. First of all, half those guys aren't even here anymore. Second of all, nobody wants to see you from 2 years ago. You were gloating around the Super Bowl up 10 points in the first half. Your quarterback had to tell you to knock it off then. We don't want to see that. He is setting himself up to be, he literally could possibly, just possibly, because the next 4 games, counting this week, were Browns, Giants, Bengals, Jags. 3 of those teams are train wrecks right now, and the other team has no defense in the Bengals. Now, yes, they played well last night. They played Daniel Jones. He could make history. He may be a coach that could get fired after a 4-game win streak because he's that much of an ass. Like
I can't wait till they sign him to an extension.
Yeah, right. They won't because this organization knows what they do. This shit all the time. Just think of something. They let the guy who won them a Super Bowl go just for 1 bad season. They're not going to extend this tour, and that's what he is.
Especially if he loses to the Giants and the Commanders and the Bengals.
Right, 5 of the teams only beat the Giants by 3 points.
Did we watch the same football game last night? Did we not watch the Bengals and the Giants have a battle of attrition to see who could score the least?
Yep, and expect them to play down to that competition.
They will. But guess what? I didn't see Brian Daboll and Zach Taylor yelling at fans last night. They have adults running their football teams.
No, they just go on WFAN and do it.
Well, like
I'm not
I said,
wrong.
my biggest gripe with Sirianni comes more. This is all just extra PR nonsense that I don't need to listen to. But since I guess we have to talk about it because he made this. This was brought on by one person, and that was the person that couldn't shut his mouth until he got back to the locker room. So everyone likes to say, "Oh, it's the fans, it's the media." All he had to do was shut his mouth for 2 seconds and get back to the locker room after the game. That's all he had to do. He brought this on himself. He has been doing this since he got here. He doesn't shut his mouth when he should.
I will say this. This week's antics is just frosting. Sam, I believe it was last week on your show, I threw in your chat. I give this 4 weeks, and Sirianni is going to be the hottest seat in football.
Well, it's warming up now. It's getting cooler outside, but it's getting hot in the Sirianni household.
It's just a team that is consistently underperforming for the talent that they have on that roster.
A team that consists of Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Jalen Hurts, and a top 10 at least offensive line, because now Jordan Mailata is out for about 2 or 3 weeks now. That is an average of 30 points a game. They barely can score 20. They have scored 30 one time. Since then, they've scored 21, 15. I don't even know what they scored in Tampa because I turned that game off halfway through the third quarter because they were getting blown out. And now this week, they scored 20. Whoopee. I see teams with less talent put up more points. Like I said, like Zoltan said, this is just frosting on top of the freaking monster cake that he's making himself. And then he comes out. For the questions that he allowed the media to ask him, because this is what this was. That press conference. This will be a good one for you. That press conference was scripted better than an AEW freaking show, because that's exactly what this was, a scripted press conference. And this is the other thing. Then when they actually try to talk football with this Nimrod, he puts his foot more in his mouth because there's 2 plays in a row. They got 2nd and 1 at like the Cleveland 30. Jake Elliott's one of the best kickers in football. All you have to do, you could just down the ball at the line of scrimmage 2 more times, just kick it and get to the half. No, what's this? First of all, the play before this happened, Saquon catches the wheel route, gets out of bounds too early, and he actually doesn't gain anything. Then he draws up a 3rd-and-1 pass, which gets Jalen Hurts sacked. And then it knocks it back down to having to kick a 57-yard field goal, which gets blocked in return for a touchdown. Every piece of momentum you had in that first half was gone from that moment. They're lucky they still won despite of it. Then, not only are you stupid enough to admit that, like, oh, yeah, I made that play call. Then he comes out and tries to say, oh, yeah, I made a call on defense in place of Vic Fangio, too, which, by the way, the play went for about 15 yards. I have no idea what's going on anymore. I don't know who's running this football team.
And that's the circus that's going on. There's two big tops, one over Philly, one over Cleveland right now. And the biggest one is in Dallas, of course, though.
I was going to say there's many, many big tops happening right now.
Yeah,
one of them's playing tonight.
Cleveland's big top was created by Haslam because Haslam won't sit Watson.
Agreed.
Can I give you numbers?
Sure. That's your job. We wouldn't have it any other way.
Hold, please.
Well,
where is it? Sorry. I had it on the phone. There it is. Since 2000, the year 2000. So we're 2024. So 798 teams through 6 weeks of the season. I'm going to give you Cleveland's ranks of the 798 teams since 2000. Yards per play, 791st out of 798. Yards per attempt, 786th. Third down conversion percentage, 785th. Red zone drives, tied for 771st.
That's pretty ugly.
It's not terribly impressive.
Nope.
So what is it going to take to bench him?
If he agrees to give back all the money from that contract.
Why? Why would he?
Why would he?
That's exactly my point. Because we already know something. This will be his final starting job in the NFL. Because no other team is. The Dolphins would not even let this man start for their team.
Not even for half price. Not even for half price. I said
bring Marino
for half price.
They'd call Marino and see what he's up to these days before they would let Deshaun Watson suit up for that.
Thanks, Sam. Almost got me on this quick take. Thanks a lot.
Of course, I did see a really, I'm going to save it off the air. It's an inappropriate joke, but I'm not going to put it on here. It's bruiser-esque levels of insane.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, it's seriously ugly.
Oh, okay. Here's the other numbers I found earlier today. Since 2007, out of 566 quarterbacks, Watson ranks in QBR 558th, yards per dropback 565th, and his first down rate 566th out of 566.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, you couldn't have let him just go to Atlanta and you would have been just fine.
No, because the fan base didn't want to put up with somebody who was going to tell them where to stick it. That's why Baker Mayfield's not here, because Baker Mayfield had an opinion and wasn't afraid to voice it.
Yep.
Yeah, but you turn around and you could have had anybody else, but no, you couldn't let Atlanta turn around and bury themselves.
Also, to be a little fair. Baker Mayfield didn't look as good in Cleveland as he has right now in Tampa.
He was hurt.
Okay. And what about when he was on the field?
I was going to say,
Gabe Canales.
Is that Baker's fault or is that Cleveland's fault?
It could. I think a lot of it could be a Stefanski issue. I don't know. Like
Stefanski. I think a lot of what plagued Baker in Cleveland was he had a bum shoulder for almost 2 years where he couldn't get it healed. Like it just wouldn't heal. Then he goes to Tampa, is in and out, sits on the bench,
No. He went to Carolina and then the Rams.
Carolina and then Tampa.
And then Tampa after Brady was out.
He went to Carolina. Didn't really start in Carolina.
Yeah, he did.
It's Carolina.
Yeah.
Your offense isn't on the field for that long.
He sat the bench in LA.
But you didn't.
Okay. Yeah, he started 6 games in Carolina. He started 4 games in LA and then went to Tampa and immediately started and played the whole season.
What I'm trying to say, though, George, if you would stop being the actually guy for 30 seconds, that's my job.
Sorry.
Is that he had time to heal. He had time in LA, in Carolina, because he wasn't starting every game. He didn't have the weight of an entire franchise on his back. He had time to heal the shoulder. Had time to heal whatever psyche issues he had. And now you look at him in Tampa Bay, and he's the quarterback that he should have been here.
That's because when he injured the shoulder, he didn't want to lose his job to the backup. And that was the other cluster bomb that happened behind the scenes that we don't know who
and
was.
That is an internal issue because apparently in Cleveland, one of the most sought after jobs is the starting quarterback for that shit-stained jersey that plays in the worst stadium in the NFL by the lake. I love the Browns. I really do. I hope that someday we can be as proud of the Browns as Detroit is of the Lions right now. But until we stop letting an absentee owner call the shots that an NFL head coach is paid to make, we will continually be the joke of the NFL and will be no better than the Philadelphia Eagles.
He's just poking the bear.
I will say this. Between last year in Tampa and what he's done so far this year in Tampa, I mean, career highs in completion percentage.
Yeah.
And so far this year, completion percentage north of 70.
Well,
you've got guys to throw to.
No, it's not. Now, I will say, when I saw that Dave Canales was leaving Tampa to go take the Panthers head coach job, which, by the way, might as well be the Cleveland Browns of the NFC. No offense, but
nope,
it's Dallas.
No, none taken.
No, it's not. No, it's Dallas. Dallas is just Dallas. Dallas is in a realm of their own. But when they played the Eagles this year, that football is out of his hand in literally less than 2 seconds. I think the highest amount of time he had the ball in his hand against Philly was 1.9 seconds. He gets the football out so much quicker now than he did even in Cleveland.
Well, I mean, it's nice when you have an offensive line that isn't like muslin cloth and lets everything through. And it's nice when your coach actually utilizes your running game to kind of keep the defense off of you and allows you to,
Yeah, Tampa doesn't have that great of running backs though. Like Bucky Irving and Rashad White they're nice little running backs, but I mean,
I'm not saying they're running backs or anything to write home about. I'm saying they utilize their running game.
They put
Yeah,
together
they
a
do,
cohesive game plan, is what it is.
oh yeah, because like just last week against Atlanta, Rashad White averaged like 10 yards a carry, and then Bucky Irving was averaging like 7. Like they were just running all over Atlanta.
You had Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb here at the same time, and you couldn't figure out how to utilize those two studs.
Nope,
Meanwhile, Kareem Hunt's back in Cleveland running for 100 yards. I mean, Cleveland, Kansas City.
Yep.
How lovely. But, gents, I got to run. I just wanted to come on real quick and give my Sirianni rant one last go around. So I'll catch you all on the flip side.
Can't wait till he signs that 3-year extension.
Shut up. Oh, by the way, I would hope next time that I'm on here, a certain somebody's on here. I feel like he's ducking me.
Oh, I think he's 100% ducking you.
He's ducking me like Michigan's ducking a freaking Washington. Sorry, Zol. Zol, I'll apologize to you. You're okay.
Thank you.
But I'll catch you gents later.
See ya, Sam.
I was disappointed when I logged on. I couldn't do a headline because my headline for the picture behind me was going to be "Happy Birthday, Jerry."
I mean, that was the best birthday present Detroit could ever give him. That was brutal.
I'm sorry. Oh, here we go.
That was.
So now I got to see.
Baseball. Well, that's not the. I was going to say, yeah. Wonder why that defaulted. Oh, that was weird.
That game was brutal to watch. Because very rarely in football do you see such precise execution of another team, right? Like Detroit brought out the scalpel and carved them apart like an expert surgeon.
Yep.
And it's very rare to see that happen.
And we trolled the refs in the process in case nobody caught it.
For sure.
Because first offensive play of the game, Dan Skipper just happened to report eligible.
Yeah.
I felt bad for the lineman that caught the touchdown late in the game and they got called back.
Yeah, Penei Sewell. Yeah,
that sucked.
And then he kept talking to the refs afterward. The refs laughing.
He's like, he's probably saying, "Do you think I'm ever going to get this opportunity again?"
Yeah,
right. Exactly.
You know what's funny is next game, Campbell will dial something up where he gets a TD. You know it'll happen too.
Yeah,
Campbell's that type of guy. I don't know how Detroit isn't the best team in the NFC right now.
Okay, so here was my thing. They were until Aiden went down. I still call them top 3. I just don't know where they are yet until we figure out what that defense is going to look like.
Yeah, he'll be on the sideline next week in a cast. You know that, right? Like he's going to be out there like the lineman from Michigan last year when it broke his femur in the Ohio State game.
Yeah, but
I was going to say until you play Minnesota, until you guys play Minnesota, that's pretty much your main.
I mean, welcome to week 7.
Yeah, that's your main telling of where you really are at.
I think Tampa Bay. I think if you're looking at the NFC, it's got to be Tampa Bay, Detroit, and Minnesota at the moment.
At the moment, sure.
Minnesota and KC being the only 2 undefeated teams left. And Minnesota's not really playing any weak opponents either. And they've been playing in the division already. So it's going to be pretty strong.
Yeah, there's a distinct possibility Detroit keeps what they have and just runs with it and sees what they can do, I mean, they could attempt to win games using 100% offense, which that was last year. That's what we did. So that'll get us pretty far. It's just a question of, our secondary does at least okay. I almost said well. It could be well when we have pressure. I just don't know how much pressure we're going to get now, and I don't know if that means the secondary falls apart.
I think you could probably check the waiver wires and probably grab half of like the Cowboys defense, because I'm pretty sure that Jared wanted to cut all of them this morning. So
Yeah.
you might be able to find something there.
Well, defensively, though, they've got 4 key bodies out on IR. That does not help your cause at all.
No, not at all.
I mean, and that really does hurt, especially when one end, 2 linebackers, and a safety. It's
Did you hear?
That's brutal.
Was one of the quotes from Jarrah after the game where he said, I ain't seen a butt kicking like that in a while. And I was like, hell, he's not wrong.
No.
And somebody asked him if he was going to fire Mike McCarthy over it. And he goes, Mike's doing just fine. And that's when he said, I haven't seen a butt kicking like that in a while.
Yeah. I almost fell off the couch last night. I was like, oh my God. What a bold question.
I mean, but it's not out of the realm of Jerry Jones, though.
No, this is true. It's Jerry.
Can you imagine if that had happened to Al Davis if he was still alive?
Yeah, somebody would
be
not have
fines.
even made it back to the locker room.
There would be fines all over the place.
Somebody would have got half the team would have gotten left off the bus to go back to the airport. And it's a home game.
Some of them wouldn't have been allowed back in the locker room.
Good night, Bubba. Love you.
Love you too. What's going on with your car?
Players that go out to the parking lot, their cars would all have flat tires.
No, the cars were towed.
Cars were towed.
Cars were towed. There's Canva trucks or Carvana trucks coming to pick them up.
God, I mean, that was.
It was, and especially because it was on national TV of the game of the week for you.
It was the game of the week.
It was the big game of the week. And
it was for us.
I was shocked they let them get the field goal. I was like, oh my God.
And I unfortunately learned yesterday that my daughter and Jerry Jones have the same birthday.
Oh,
unfortunate.
So yeah.
The part in all of it that amazes me is like everybody 3 years ago had Goff retired and doing, the 1:00 game in Miami or whatever the crap game of the week was. He was
written off.
They were just written him off, and he had a near perfect QB yesterday.
Yeah, and it's not the only time he's done that recently,
right?
No, listen, I think if Detroit makes the NFC Championship game, I'm not saying they win it or they go to the Super Bowl, but I think with what Campbell has had to work with, and especially with Aiden Hutchinson going down like he did yesterday, and an absolute brutal injury, I don't see how Dan Campbell is not Coach of the Year.
Well, I call it out now. The bigger kicker is you get Detroit, Detroit would bump off San Francisco in a heartbeat going into playoffs right now. And the only competition, like I said, I really honestly see it's going to be Detroit against Minnesota. And that's going to be brutal to go through because they're going to play each other twice in the season. And then they're going to go head to head going into the playoff.
I will say, let's throw this out here right now. I mean, this is week 6. Teams, how they look right now, are not how they're going to look 6 weeks from now. Or
The
12
Eagles
weeks from now.
proved that last year. Would they go 6-0, 7-0?
That's a fact.
And then they turn around and went 1-8.
Yeah. So, I mean, as nice as it
there are
sounds,
teams that are consistent, and right now Detroit is a consistent team.
Yes.
That's all you can ask for, though. I mean,
Sure.
if you look at what Texas, I'm going to throw this back to college, but look at what Texas did under Sarkisian when Sarkisian took over. Yeah, they lost a few, but they got better every year and they stayed consistent.
Mhm.
And the ferocity with which Texas plays now was instilled 3 years ago.
Sure.
And I think the same could be said for Detroit. The ferocity with which that team plays with now got installed 3 years ago when Dan Campbell took over and took that job.
I don't disagree.
I mean, that team personifies him. It's one of those things where, especially last year, maybe definitely the year before, especially when he would go for it on 4th down, and the off times when he wouldn't make it. It's, he's horrible decision making. He wasn't really working the clock all that well, and it's like, yeah, but if you get rid of him, you're not going to get the same results out of these players, out of anybody else.
You know, the one thing that going for it consistently on that 4th and 1 does, I mean, yeah, the punter's like, damn it, I'm not really earning my paycheck. But the players, you ask any football player, if you've got 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and if you know your running back's getting about 3.5 yards a carry, and your quarterback could even turn around and scramble for, a fart in the wind and get 2 or 3, you damn well know that, the hell with punting. It's like, let's go for it. And the players, I mean, that's a boost to your team and telling you, let's do this. Let's play football. Why not? I mean,
it's not just that, but like you hear all the time, well, so-and-so's a player's coach or he's a numbers coach. Dan Campbell's both.
Yeah.
Because I think players' coaches get a bad rap of like letting the inmates run the asylum. And I don't think anybody in that locker room doesn't respect the hell out of Dan Campbell or would step out of line in a fashion that would embarrass him or embarrass the team. You know what I mean? And I think that's ultimately what being a player's coach is that you identify with your players, but you get them to respect you on a level where they know you're in charge.
I posted it in the chat, the locker room speech Campbell gave after the game yesterday, in which he gave the game balls away.
I didn't see it yet. I didn't watch it yet. I saw you posted it.
He gave the first one to Goff, which Goff deserved it, but it was also a joke because Campbell did not have the stats in front of him the week before when he gave out the game balls. Did not give one to Goff, even though Goff was perfect that game.
Yep.
He had 100% completion percentage. And then the other one I think went to safety Brian Branch. But as he's getting ready to leave, and they're going to break it down in a huddle, and Campbell's starting to walk off, and Goff is like, "Hang on, I want to say something." And Campbell stops turning around, and Goff says, Coach Campbell is our bleeping rock, and he's the reason that we're here, and he's getting this game ball. And Goff just gave it right back to him. So it's just like
that makes my point.
They love that man.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to
run through a brick wall.
He'll run through a brick wall. I don't think anything else would stop them either. I mean,
I would be curious to see that team at full strength. Because if you could put that team at full strength and just let them go, I don't think there'd be anybody that would stop them. Not even Kansas City.
Oh, no, they took care of Kansas City last year too. I mean, handedly.
Well,
I mean,
Kansas City, I think Kansas City's favorite ref was off that game, probably. So
no,
you
The
couldn't
checks hadn't
breathe
cleared
near
yet.
I firmly believe Detroit. If San Fran loses to Detroit last year, Detroit's got a Super Bowl ring to say for it. Right
There's
now.
a very specific style of team that would give us trouble. And I will say the last thing in the world I would want to do is play Baltimore in a Super Bowl.
Right.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Yep.
Baltimore.
Yep, that's the team. Yep, 100%. Nope.
I don't think Baltimore is going to make it that far.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're so far from that. It's
Because
Right.
here's the thing. Baltimore still got to play Pittsburgh twice.
yeah, they do.
I'm sorry. I can't. Oh God, I had to. Oh, like yesterday was the first time I've sat to actually sit down and watch NFL for a Sunday, and I had to keep seeing the Pittsburgh Vegas game and just almost choked on food, spit takes galore for how bad that game was as well. And it's just like, wow, I can't believe that I was looking forward to sitting down to watch good football on a Sunday afternoon. Boy, was I wrong. I was totally wrong. I was like, well, good thing I didn't get up at 9:30 in the morning to catch the Jags and
The
Bears
Jags
game.
Bears game wasn't awful.
No, it wasn't terrible.
Are you laughing at what I just put in the chat, Zolt?
I'm glad I wasn't drinking.
That's what I was saying yes about.
Tell them what I did.
Yes, 100%.
Why?
So
Because they're my friends.
Hang on,
And I say
I
dumb
see
things.
I see nothing in the chat.
I was gonna say, no, he put it in the private chat.
Oh, that chat.
Yes,
Too many chats. There's too
Yes.
many chats.
and she's got to be careful about the reflection behind Bruiser off of the glass doors.
It's okay.
You can't see her from where she was.
We'll fix that in post.
I was gonna say, yeah, we'll edit that in post production.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Now I'm wondering if they could see it from where you were standing on the door.
Oh,
The
good
glass
Lord.
behind me reflects the kitchen.
Oh,
I didn't even
whoops.
You're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
Oh well, it's not like they've not seen.
No, it's oh man. Oh, that's it. We just got flushed. Oh.
Zolt is turning redder than Jerry yesterday.
I was gonna say Zolt's redder than Jerry behind him. Oh my God. Oh Lord. Oh boy, did we get off the rails fast. That didn't take much, didn't take long. Oh.
You're welcome, everybody.
In the meantime, Detroit and Cleveland did put on a good show for baseball.
They
That
did. It was a good show.
You
It was
know-
a good series.
That was a really solid. When I did my pre-thing with Sam, I said that one would go 5. I wasn't surprised at all.
between lifting Saturday morning and then Half Hill and I went and got wings and we were watching college football and then the pregame, and then I got home and watched a little bit of the Guardians in Detroit before before Texas Oklahoma came on at 3:30. I was talking to Half Hill and I said it's either going to be a blowout or it's going to be a nail biter, like 1-0, 2-0 pitchers duel. And I'll be damned if it didn't turn into a blowout.
Well, it started a little closer.
It started out the pitchers duel, but the last time I remember that stadium coming unglued like that was the Raja Davis
home run. Yeah,
the home run
yep.
in the World Series in 2016.
Yep.
That's the last time I can remember that stadium coming unglued like that. And as a 40-something who grew up in the 90s when the Browns weren't here, and that's all we had was the Indians, and moments like that happening a lot, it was great to see. And to be honest, I think TBS did an excellent job of the coverage of the game. That shot that they had of the closer walking in from behind him to Wild Thing at the end of the game, and they're talking about him. Hey, he's best closer in baseball right now. Cy Young candidate. Does he have 6 outs in him?
Yep.
I mean, what a way to ratchet up the tension and the drama. Like you could tell that game it wasn't just another playoff game, but that game meant something. They made it feel like a game 5. They made it feel big. And I think a lot of people write off Cleveland when Cleveland is in the playoffs or in Detroit for that matter when they're in situations like that. And it was nice to hear announcers giving the teams the due that they deserve for being in that position.
Now, Cleveland looked like they were loading up pretty good to start the game, but it is the middle of the 7th. They are down 4-1 to the Spankies. And the Mets did turn around and come back and over topple the Dodgers. Their series is tied up at 1 apiece.
When Pete Alonso hit that home run,
That's my dude.
A couple weeks ago, I texted my buddy Dan, who grew up in the Bronx and is a huge Giants and Mets fan, but he lives here. I texted him, F you, F the Mets, F Pete Alonso.
Hey. That'll get you kicked off this show.
And then he responded with something. And then I said, how does it feel to have sold your soul to Grimace just so you can make it to the next round of the playoffs to get spanked by the Phillies? And then they beat the Phillies. And then he texted me back something about Grimace, and I said he better be on the float if you guys win the World Series. Because now I just want the Mets to win it all, because why the hell not? It's like Brad Pitt said in Moneyball. How can you not be romantic about baseball?
Yeah. And I was even going to say, if Detroit had made it, I said how ironic it would have been that it would have been 2 number 6 seeds playing the 2 number 1 seeds to go to the World Series. That would have been the true, like as you just said, the true romance of baseball right there.
Well, the Mets have a $318 million payroll. The Yankees are just under them at 308. The Dodgers are just under that at like 289 or 292.
I thought the Dodgers are well over that just with Ohtani.
Nope. And then the Indians, for what the Mets pay in payroll, you could field 3 Indians or 3 Guardians teams on that payroll.
Oh no,
they're like they're like 112 $million.
Yeah, the Dolans don't spend squat.
I don't think it's about spending money. Everybody, you got to look at the size of the team or the size of the market too.
The
If it
Dolans
were,
are squandering.
huh?
The Dolans are squandering. Totally.
Squandering? No. Are they penny pinching? Are they frugal? Sure. They're not wasting. To me, wasting is the Boston Red Sox payroll, the the Mets, the Yankees, the Dodgers. That's squandering money. But you look at the talent that the Guardians produce year after year in their farm system.
Sorry, I was trying to. The hell is that?
I want to take us back to the Lions for a minute.
Sure, you do.
I mean, I'm gonna relive that game forever. But as far as what you do going forward with Hutchinson being gone 4 to 6 months, so the dream scenario that everybody likes to throw out there is trading with the Raiders to pick up Max Crosby, who is he's a local guy. He's from Lapeer, Michigan. He went to Eastern Michigan, and a cat just jumped on my back.
Did Doug come visit you?
No.
This is our. Apparently, he's looking for attention. Okay, no, not right now. Anyway,
I'm not getting. Never mind.
nope.
Nope. Not going there. Nope. Not gonna say it.
The thing is,
FCC.
This is Detroit is probably the one other team Crosby would be willing to play for, but he wants to be the guy that rebuilds the Raiders. So I don't really think it's an option. Dude literally has Raider tattoos. No, I haven't seen the meme.
He was playing against Bo Nix, and Bo Nix made the audible, and he gets up and he goes,
"Oh yeah,
why?" He goes, "Why? They don't know it. They don't know it." I was rolling, and I, by the way, I cleaned that up because he was dropping the F-bomb.
Yeah,
and I was rolling when that happened. I was like, wow, that is, I mean, talk about calling out that somebody's watched the film.
Right.
And even he knew what the play was, but none of the other Broncos knew what it was.
Yeah,
that's bad.
As far as Crosby, first off, the compensation for that starts at 2 first rounders. I don't know that they want to go that route. Like, yeah. So anyway,
we're just railroading ourselves right now.
And frankly, with how much Crosby makes, I mean, it's not astronomical. I mean, it's in the 20 million per year category, like 24, 23 for the next few years. It does mean that there's certain players on this squad that won't be able to be re-signed next year. So that could, this is not a team that goes out and does the splashy thing. They never.
That's the splashy thing, though.
That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. This is not going to happen. This is the dream, quote unquote, dream scenario.
Is there anybody out there that is not, that you could go get that is serviceable?
A mid-tier?
Sure.
Yes, I will get there. Other names that I've seen pop up, Trey Hendrickson from the Bengals. I don't see the Bengals being sellers right now. We have the money. We have the money. We have the cap space. We could pick him up. It's just going forward. Like defensive tackle Lee McNeil is due, and they want to keep him, and they're going to have to pay him some money.
It's not like I was going to say. It's not like you really have anybody. You signed Montgomery to the extension, but I mean, dude, you really do have the money. I think you literally could still still sign him and still sign everybody else.
Here's the thing. Hutchinson is getting redone within the next year, within the next 12 months. That's going to be a fortune.
Yeah.
Sure, we could pick him up for this year, have him for next year. Hutchinson get his big contract kicks in.
That sucks though, because I really would have liked to seen him win Rookie of the Year this year.
Who?
Hutchinson, isn't he a rookie?
No,
he's
second.
He's third. Is it second year?
Third year.
They talked about him like this is his rookie season.
No, that was last year.
I've seen Hassan Reddick's name. I'm sorry, I haven't seen him play yet this year. I'm not.
No, he's not. Yeah, he's a New York Jets debacle.
Hey, if you offer the Browns some sort of shit quarterback that looks halfway decent,
They don't need a quarterback,
and possibly a coordinator or two, they might give you Myles Garrett for free. Because the Browns are known to make stupid trades.
If y'all hadn't just given Garrett a gigantic contract and made his dead cap like 50-something million.
Right. Yeah, you really don't have anybody. You really don't have anybody really.
However, we'd be interested in Zadarius Smith as a role player depth guy, rotation guy, because I think that's probably the route they go, is more of a rotation guy.
Someone to fill a slot when they need it.
Basically, it's like, you can't replace Hutchinson, so we're just gonna fill the slot with three guys that are just gonna rotate in and out.
You're going for war. Wins above replacement.
Yeah, that's about it. I mean, I've seen.
All right, my computer's starting to screw up. Let's wrap this up.
Okay. The name that I actually think is a possibility, and this would be mid-tier. This is not necessarily a rotation guy. This is the guy that would come in and probably be there, 3 out of 4 downs. And that's Harold Landry from the Titans. He's 28. He's under contract through 26 at 17 and a quarter. That's not unreasonable. And
I was going to suggest somebody that used to play for the Cowboys, but then I realized he's probably far too old. It was he was middle linebacker and then floated to the end every once in a while.
Van Der Esch, he retired.
That one.
Yeah, he had to retire from medical.
So I was like, oh yeah, he's far too old because he played way back.
I'll say this about Landry. Number one, he missed most of 2022 with an ACL, came back strong last year, finished the season strong, and is off to a good start this year. Exactly the kind of guy Detroit likes to pick up. Number two, our D-line our D-line coach, Terrell Williams, was his D-line coach for 6 years. So, in theory, grab him, plug and play. He's already going to know terminology and systems, hopefully to an extent. And it should be a simple transition. We'll see what happens. Knowing this team, they might just roll with what they have. They've got a couple guys on the practice squad they like. We'll see. I mean, the guys that are on the IR aren't coming back anytime soon in Barnes and Marcus Davenport. But I don't expect anything major. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. George. I
couldn't. Sorry. It's just With that, I guess we're done.
Hooray!
So, thanks everybody who tuned in to watch. Sorry, y'all don't get to get all the private jokes or the private chats, but you know,
You're not missing much.
thanks for Sam to pop in and drop his 5 cents worth this evening.
Thank you, Sam,
Appreciate
for improving our ratings.
it. Yep, as always. Again, catch us 609 5:30 on Facebook and YouTube. Also every Sunday, catch him for his Eagles post game, Birds of the Gridiron as well. For Bruiser, say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie. Philly sucks.